ABSL Summit. Beyond Tomorrow. Building a Sustainable Future.
We'd like to invite the panelists and Eva Szabuniewicz, who's the People and Culture Head and Site Manager, Central Shared Services Staples Solutions, that will lead a panel that hopefully, surely, will deepen the subject. And I would like to invite, of course, the panelists. So Dorota Osiecka, Director Workplace Innovation Colliers. Marcin Piątkowski, who we've met a minute ago, who's a Leasing and Managing Director at TORUS. And then Adam Sikorski, Knowledge Center Site Lead, Hapag Lloyd. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your attendance here. And with this great team of panelists, we'll try to have a deeper look at the first point of discussion which Marcin started. Is it really the point? So let me start with asking you, according to your presentation, Marcin, people communicate that they are not feeling very safe in the office, that they need more precautions, that they need some more installments, some other work environment. And most, as we know from various focus groups and various surveys, around 82% of employees are not willing to come back to the office. 82%, roughly. So, we also said that in regards to your presentation, what seems to be the most important factor why they don't want to come back? And this is a question to you, Marcin, as a kickoff, and then I'll love to share your opinion from Dorota and Adam.
Well, I think that before the pandemic, we already had employees market. And the pandemic was just a trigger to offer something extra, something that we are not ready to offer, so this remote work to bigger extent. So once we did it, and we did it on a mass scale, people were shown how that works, proved that this can be effective, and also very convenient, so what I mentioned during the presentation, that it's much more convenient to work from home if you have, of course, proper conditions to work from home. And this is the question. And this is something that our research also showed, that we have to divide people on this junior level and managers. The manager's perspective is completely different. They want people to come back to the office as soon as possible. And the lower position in the company, the more people are more reluctant to come back. And
excellent. Yeah, thank you.
And as I said, safety. This is what we can do as developers, because these are the investments that we can take on us, on ourselves, implement in our buildings to show, hey, we did this, and this. And the office is safe. And frankly speaking, during the pandemic in our office buildings, we had just few cases in our office of people that were infected. So when we were investigating how people got infected, then it occurred that office is, so a place where we work is not to be a suspect.
Okay. So, again, the question, what is the main factor why they don't want to come back to the office?
I think, well, the factors are several. Whenever we look at an average organization, that'd be between 5 and 10% of people who say they do not want to work remotely at all, because they appreciate this kind of division between work and life, work and private life. They do not have conditions to work at home. That'd be another 15 to 25% of people who say they want to work fully remotely, but majority falls within the bracket of actually being in the office every now and then, because people do realize that direct interaction is important. And I think we're falling into a trap by just following this dichotomy. Should we draw people back to the office, or should we allow them to work remotely? It's neither, frankly. It's, we need to take a broader look, because the work environment is not just the physical office and not just remote. It's a network of places. It's a layer of digital technology that enables virtual collaboration. And it's everything around culture, behaviors, and meaningful interactions with my peers, which would be the main compelling reason for me to go back to the office. So the question is not, do we want to draw people back to the office, or do I need an office at all? As an employer, frankly, office is just a means to an end. What I need a happy, healthy, and productive workforce. So the question is, how do I build an environment that enables happy, healthy, and productive workforce? And that would be a flexible environment, one that allows choice and autonomy to an extent, where individual perspectives are respected, where people do have the ability to build their working day, week, month, whatever, and structure it the way they see fit, because there are clear benefits in allowing our employees to better reconcile private and professional roles, to kind of have fewer trade-offs, as in career versus home life, etc. But on the other hand, there's the business perspective. Whilst there are many, many, many benefits of remote work, and I'm a huge fan, but there are likewise many risks and downsides and dark sides. And as businesses, we need to, typically when we ask people what they want, they tend to have the individual perspective. So I tend to see my individual benefits or my individual sort of downsides of remote work. For example, when working individually, I'm typically more productive at home because there's fewer distractions. It's very simple. But when we look at the business as a whole, then there's this perspective of, first and foremost, the team. What is often referred to as the strength of weak ties in the workplace, whereby the serendipity, the sort of ad hoc interactions with people who are not on my direct team, but I happen to meet them, I happen to bump into them, I happen to have an ad hoc conversation that actually leads to something. And then there's the overall business performance perspective, which is very different from the individual. So it's not about whether people should go back to the office or not. It's about how do we build the right environment for our employees to be productive, happy, and essentially contribute to business performance.
Excellent, thank you. Our bone is starting to grow around with meat, as you can see. Now, Adam, I would like to ask about your perspective. As a leader of the growing organization, how do you see it? Why your employees are not super keen on coming back to the office?
They are keen to come to the office. They just don't know it yet. It's a different perspective. For me, being an employee, I hate remote work. And I don't understand why you actually love it, being alone at home, not having tools, not having right equipment, and not having people that surround you. Look, I mean, guys, we are here, and we are enjoying ourselves. I'm an extrovert, so I mean, it's hard for me to understand. Most of my employees are, I would bet that those are introverts, mostly IT business, and and we still succeed to actually make 20% of them, 25% of them being at the office, and it's steadily increasing. And our game and our goal is to actually increase that number, not by forcing anyone. That's not the point. I mean, we will have to, as an organization, show the benefits. As simple as that. I mean, we don't have any other choice than just building on what drives our people and what's best for them while realizing and making happen the corporate goals. For us, as Eva, as you mentioned, we are a growing organization, and we have started just before pandemics. So all our onboardings, everything happened remotely. And what we are currently missing is the sense of belonging to the organization. We don't have it, and it's really hard to build on remote connections, remote interactions. As you mentioned, you cannot accidentally come by and talk to someone on Teams. You have specifically dial in the number to speak with someone, like in the opposite, on the contrary, drinking coffee. So it's, people don't know it, but they want it. They want to come to the office. We just have to show them how to do it and what are the benefits for them.
Great. So regarding this, what we heard and what you said, there are many requests on different surveys. You did one of them. I know that Colliers did another interesting survey, which we'll touch base with later. Then there are a lot of surveys saying that people want different setup of the office. They want disinfectants, they want the air cleaners, they want surfaces cleaner, they want it all. Now, what if we say, and this is going to be a totally crazy theme, what if we say that it's completely not about virus anymore? People who doesn't want to come back to the office, they often say that the reasons are because they fear to come back, that they fear that they will catch the virus, that the air is not clean enough. What if we say for a moment that it's completely not about the virus? Now, if we say that, what is it about? What do you think? Is it, am I close? Am I driving in the good direction? Dorota?
Well, for one thing, I believe that as long as we are living under rather extraordinary conditions of the pandemic, even if those fears are just stated, they should be respected. However, in the long run, I mean, if the restrictions are no longer upon us, it is still, I need a compelling reason to come to the office. And that compelling reason is, you know, regardless of whether we are working in a remote environment, which is very heavily technology-oriented, where all the interactions are virtual and intermediated by technology, or whether in a direct sort of on-campus setting, the overall drivers of engagement, satisfaction, and well-being remain the same. So regardless of the level of technology we're surrounded with, our biology tends to evolve a lot slower, and I still need to feel what I'm doing makes sense. I still need to have a sense of purpose. I still need meaningful interactions with my colleagues. And if we are talking about sort of where to look for compelling reasons for people to be drawn back together, that would be it. That would be the interactions. That would be the direct face-to-face contact. That would be this spark of innovation that happens when diverse people come together. But there's a catch. And it's a big one. There's a catch. It doesn't really, it's not enough to just simply bring people together in one space. They need to share a common purpose. They need to share goals. What is the sole and only and the main prerequisite for building a good team? It's nice if we like each other. It's cool if it's a good atmosphere. But unless we have a common purpose and a common goal, there's going to be no team. So again, I'm sorry, I'm going to be repeating myself. It's not about the office. It's about the culture we build. It's about the environment we create. And it's about the leadership. And if we are then able to offer that and show people that they can have the best of both worlds, the comfort, lack of commute, and other benefits and perks that come with remote work, and the meaningful social interaction, the feeling of community, the social capital that we build in direct face-to-face contact when in the office, then there's a chance we can make a hybrid work. Otherwise, we're bound to fail.
Eva, I totally agree with you. It's completely not about the virus. This is just, from my perspective, this is just an extra benefit that was given on a mass scale to the employees. And right now, it's extremely difficult to go back. So the question is how you build engagement, how you build loyalty among the people who, as Adam mentioned, has never seen the office, has never seen the manager live. So this is a challenge that we have to face.
Marcin, I have to admit that saying the virus is a benefit, it's...
No, just...
no, I was just kidding.
I just want you to understand, it's not that I think it's irrelevant. We have a pandemic, and this is a fact. This virus is dangerous, and this is a fact. But the way we cope with fighting the virus, this is a complete disaster. From uncertainty to some changes introduced without deeper thought, and these changes cannot be just reverted. And this is what I mentioned.
I was just joking. So it's not about the virus, definitely not, and people are using this as an excuse. It's...
Well, we can finish the panel now after this sentence.
Sorry to be that blunt, but it is an excuse. I mean, if people would think that the virus is still such a danger for them...
Is it going live?
It's, yeah, they will not go to meetings like this, to restaurants, to pubs. We would be isolating ourselves completely. So what it is then? And in my opinion, it's, we were kind of forced to go home, and we stayed for, I would say, weeks being afraid, being scared of the virus, and then we kind of adjust to that environment. So it's a comfort zone at the moment, at home, that there are two ways of changing it. Either a rapid and sudden change in the, I don't know, something that will force us to leave our homes and return to the office or somewhere else, to bunkers, or step by step, again, showing our employees that there is a life outside of their homes, life, a business life that they can benefit, they can grow professionally, they can meet with each other, and we can live new normal, I mean, normally again, as much as we can.
Exactly, and I want to build on what you said and what you also mentioned. There is no coming back to normal, and there is a new normal. We know already that it's not going to be reversed, as you said, Marcin. It's just going to be new. And this is exactly what I'm reading a lot of psychological analysis about what keeps us from coming back to the office, and this is one of the very highlighted factors. People don't want to they don't want to hear from their managers, let's come back to the office to be back to normal. This is what refrains them to come back to the office. They want to have lesson learned. They want their managers to build on their on the pandemic times and see what was working, what was not working. And we can say that in certain groups of employees or jobs or seniority of jobs, it worked very well, the pandemic times, and the remote work worked very well. They were effective, we were effective, some of us enjoyed working from home. And we can say roughly that effectiveness wasn't too bad during this time. However, it is exactly what you've mentioned. What really suffered is the sense of belonging, the engagement, the identification with the company, and the proactiveness of the employees to share, and the creativity which goes after that. So what can we do to show them that this will be something in their new working environment? What actions can we do?
Before I'll answer that question, I just want to comment about what you said. I disagree with the statement that the effectiveness stayed there. Because at all, what cost? I mean, yes, business was delivered, and the results are there, at least for most of the companies, at least in the logistic business. But at what cost? People were stayed overtime, they are exhausted, they are working extensive hours, in my opinion, because it's of the ineffective work environment during the pandemic. For whatever reason, but I think we're far from being effective at home.
I think it's a bit more complicated than that, because I think one of the things that the last year and a half was not a normal situation, and I fully subscribe to what you just said, that people did work long hours, people did experience extreme sort of fatigue, imbalance, isolation as well. So there are definitely impacts on well-being, but I think it's not because remote doesn't work. It does. Also, prior to the pandemic, there were companies that were digital only, that worked fully remotely. I think what we tend to do, and I think what's the main peril going forward, also for sort of future strategic outlook, is we tend to underestimate how much of a transformation our organizational processes, our management style, our expectations towards our employees need to go through. How much do we actually need to change in order for the new reality to work well? Because yes, it's true, there were negative impacts. There was a cost to this maintained productivity. But the response is not to draw people back to the office. This ain't going to work either.
It ain't going to work. You're right. I was kind of a controversial just to build up on the discussion, saying that it's there must be a balance, either hybrid, whatever hybrid it is, 1 day per month at the office or 1 day per month at home. And there are a number of multiple solutions and that fits different organizations.
Yeah, Marcin.
If we can talk a little bit about this effectiveness, because I would risk a statement that the effectiveness was and still is that high because of the uncertainty. I mean, people were sent when there was a first wave. People were sent home, not knowing what would happen, whether their businesses will survive, whether their positions will stay. So they were working twice as hard to prove that they are needed, that the fact that they stay at home doesn't change anything, and that they can be as good as working from the office. And I believe that if we get used to remote work, the effectiveness will slightly deteriorate. And this is what we already can observe. I had a discussion with one of the office managers, and the lady said that the biggest problem for her was that when she was sent home, she has 2 children, and she and her husband were also working remotely, children having school remotely. So they had 3 rooms, and she had to go to the bedroom to work. And her comment on that was that, well, after 8-9 hours, I finish work, and I'm at home too fast. I need that time to reload. When you come back from the office, from your bureau to home, then this is the time when you switch from the office mode, work mode, to private life mode. And this is what she lacked. And she said, and this is terrible. I wake up in the office, I go to bed in the office, I have a break during work, go to the kitchen to make myself a coffee, and I'm not sure whether this is a coffee at home or a coffee in the office. And she's a manager, and she says, well, if I have such problems, so I suppose similar problems have my employees.
But is it really about the office then, or is it how we manage our productivity and expectations towards our employees? again, I think it's a false dichotomy. It's both. It's not either office or remote, and I mean the last year and a half was not normal because we did have to cope with children screaming in the background and trying to look serious on a business call.
That was sweet, actually.
I mean, we've all been there to a more or less embarrassing extent, but going forward, it's not going to be like that. So why not focus on trying to take the best of both worlds? Making sure that when our employees come to the office, and we do want to see them, we do want to see them interacting in person, we do want to use our work environment as a key carrier of brand message, of company culture. It is a known fact that younger people tend to basically fare worse working largely remotely because they do not have this kind of experience, professional contacts, etc. It's much more difficult to onboard new employees, especially younger ones again, that need to develop. So we want to leverage office to enable us to do that effectively. At the same time, we do want to give people the freedom to work from home when they feel like it, because for many people, what you mentioned is a very fair point, but there's a strong correlation between between the perception of productivity and the conditions at home. So generally people who have small children or elderly people in their care and no adequate conditions to focus at home tend to declare that when you ask them about their opinion of their productivity, no, my productivity suffers when I'm working remotely. If you have the right conditions, if you have a separate room where you can sort of lock yourself and work properly, then the perception of productivity tends to go up. So again, it should be about choice. It should be about providing a flexible environment where both people and businesses, because it's not just about individual perspective, but where we can choose what works best for a given task, for a given strategic goal, for a given team, etc., etc.
So the question is, I think. It's not a discussion about coming back to the office. It's a discussion about work-life balance lost.
And creating completely new working environment.
And Eva, you mentioned that you need proper conditions, and you have these proper conditions at home. So how many people in Poland have proper conditions at home?
87%.
87%? Prefer, but...
Yeah.
No, great.
Go on.
Go on.
Comments.
We have a microphone, maybe we can share. We have a microphone. We are prepared for interaction with you guys, and you are very welcome.
Actually, there were some statements that really resonated with me. You were saying that most managers, line managers, expect their people to come to the office. I very much hope that this is not the most, and if now it's the most, then very soon it will be different, because we should be asking really ourselves why we want our people to come back. How much of it is what we declare? What we declare is the innovation, mentorship, new joiners onboarding, and how much of it is the fact that we are not used to building our authority, our self-confidence, without the employees physically present, where we cannot see them. Yes? So I think it's an evolution of the line manager and the leadership. The second thing is that in this discussion there has been a lot of we and them. It's not we and them. Yes, I suppose the best way is to treat other people as adults. So we are adults, and they should be treated as adults. If we give them the roles, if we give them the responsibility, we should rather think of how we can enable them. And then I really thank Mrs. Osiecka for many things that she said, because I think that's the right direction. The last point I think we should focus on, I've spoken a lot to many colleagues in the industry from different firms. And I think our experience of remote work is very much determined by the state of technology that the firm has to offer. If you have had a chance and be the lucky one to be part of a company that has really a seamless technology, company that implemented flexible work years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, then you even could get to the spontaneous interactions happening in remote environment. If your technology is lagging behind, then all of what you said, I completely agree with what you said, then everything becomes a problem. Calling a colleague becomes a problem, and you lose a lot of that. So I think we should really focus on what's the next step, and I would recommend not the immediate next step. What's the next second, third, and fourth step? Because the new generation is coming. We are in a fierce war for talent. And I can tell you, 20 years old, they don't need physical presence for spontaneous interactions. They create their own virtual spaces where they meet, when they bump into each other. I'm a mother of 14 years old, and I worry very much about that, because I don't know, he is part of different social spaces, and really he's got friends and colleagues from everywhere. This is changing. I would say, like in The Lord of the Rings, the world has changed. Yes, and we either go with it, now we need to go with it because the pandemic's accelerated everything. We are not ahead. The question is how much time we lose on thinking we can go back to normal, and how much time we spend to think on where we can get next in the third and fourth step. So I feel very strongly about that.
So we hoped this will resonate with you, and we are super open to have this discussion. Thank you very much for this very important point. And as we said, it's going to be a new normality. It's not coming back to the old one. It's never going to happen. Adam.
Yeah, I wanted to say, first of all, thank you very much for your sentences. And I agree that the people who are in their 20s, early 20s, they do not know other reality than remote. For those who are starting their work last year or 2 years ago, they are working in the virtual world, and it is like that. What I'm missing personally, and I believe quite many people, is also that physical interaction. And it's the virtual world is there, and it's just a step to replace us with machines. As those are virtual tasks that can be done also virtually. So it's we're not there yet, and humans are really important and are an essence of our business. But it's going in that direction also. It's. I am 5 days a week at the office, and I love it.
Now, to continue this, maybe let's have a look at the offers on the market. And we said that many companies, even before pandemic, they offered remote work, and they were working remotely in a very successful way, in a very effective and successful way. Of course, the pandemic accelerated some of the changes from technology point of view, from our organizational point of view. But still, there is this huge discussion around what to offer to new candidates. Shall we offer them 100% remote work positions? Many employers say that they have to offer that because then they will lose a market share. They will lose a lot of candidates who require this as a new environment. And to be honest with you, go ahead and analyze. We did that, and we are watching all the portals with advertising, the recruitment portals. And on some of them, especially for IT, there's a lot, and more every week, a lot of ads saying, we offer 100% remote work. But if you go deeper in this ad, you will discover that the 100% remote it's connected with the onboarding only. And then it depends on the position, it depends on what will be decided. It's not a 100% remote offer. So my question to you is, shall we offer 100% remote work? Is it really a trend? Because I thought at the beginning of the pandemic that now everyone will be hired across the ocean, everywhere, that boundaries will be gone and we will be in the open market. And we are not. So what's in there? What's stopping us from offering 100% work remotely? And what's stopping us to hire candidates who are 100% remote?
I think that there are two important things there. As with everything, with new ways of working, also hiring, it's a double-edged sword. Hiring strategy, if I offer 100% remote jobs, my access to the pool of talent has suddenly broadened immensely. On the other hand, that means also that my top talent, if other companies offer the same, then my top talent is likely to be poached by my competitors. So there's always an upside and a downside. In terms of what is stopping us, well, I think there are many things. Work has left the office some 2 decades ago, if not more. Ever since we have mobile technology, we're not really bound to a desk anymore. So the reason why flexible working practices were not so widespread prior to the pandemic was to a large extent due to managerial expectations and this kind of command and control style that is still widespread. That is changing. That is one of the things that COVID enforced, although it's not going to change by itself, and it's a huge undertaking, frankly speaking. It's a complete turnaround in terms of leadership style. But what is, if you ask what is stopping us, is perhaps this ability to be able to put business first and team needs first. Because 100% remote job has another downside in that it may result in lower loyalty. It may create uneven opportunities. So it's a well-known fact that people who work 100% remotely on a team that happens to be on-site on a regular basis may be overlooked for promotions. So there are those downsides. And I think, again, it's about finding the right balance between being able to ensure that the needs of the business and the team are met. And that could be as simple as offering remote jobs with the requirement to be on-site for a period of time, every now and then. I don't know, it's a common notion in IT and also in companies that work fully remotely. They do have sort of base camps for their engineers, where they spend some time together, a week or two, living together, working together, socializing. They build this team cohesiveness, they build this bond that then carries them through a longer period of remote work without any adverse effects. So again, it's about how we sort of strategize our work environment as a whole, not just space, not just technology, although I absolutely agree that the level of digital friction is important, and trying to bring that down would definitely be a good idea. But it's again, it's about space, it's about digital layer, and first and foremost about our culture and how we lead our people and what we expect them to actually deliver. And how we voice those expectations as well.
I believe that depends on the sector. Because on one end, we have IT companies who are probably most eager to offer 100% remote work because they have to strongly compete for the employees. And if they do not offer that, probably their competitors will do that. So if they want to keep talent, they have to follow the trend on the market. But on the other end, and I'm very curious what Tomek is going to say, is the whole financial sector, banking sector, where because of the security reasons, it is not, working from home may not be such a good idea. And I have heard about only one company that decided to close all their offices and work 100% remote. and this was only one company. The others are thinking about some hybrid model. Rather, this is 60-40, 70-30, and I think that will be somewhere here. 30 to 40% of the employees will be working at home, and in the same time, the rest will be in the office. Of course, this causes huge complication for the managers, how to organize work. This is what I mentioned during the presentation. Who has home office on Friday? Why am I going to have home office on Wednesday? I don't want on Wednesday. Thursday is better.
Or Monday.
On Monday, yeah. So these are the discussions that are within the companies right now.
So this is called workation, right? Yeah. 100% remote work, as Eva, as you mentioned, is on many offers, job offers. But it's, as you said, it's, but I want you 2 days at the office, a month, for a sprint meeting. Because we have an agile team and we want to build that sense of belonging to the team, the confidentiality of the data. So the answer is nothing stops us, but we have to have the technology, we have to have the right teams, right leaders, and not as a command and control, but more like a servant leadership. And one that is showing the team how and what we can achieve together. It's not about commanding, I request you to come to the office. There needs to be a purpose, there needs to be a visible and tangible benefit for an employee to come, and I mean the business benefit, not about the freebies that we were discussing the other day, but it's a lost opportunity on the promotion is one of those. It's critical. I mean, if you have 10 people at the office and one is out, then obviously that one will be outsider, regardless of what technology we have.
Yeah, but to round this topic off, since you mentioned the report before, I'll allow myself for a shameless plug-in. Apologies, everyone. We did survey ABSL companies in July this year. Please visit Colliers' stand if you want to have a copy of this report. But one of the questions we have asked was about hiring strategies. And where prior to the pandemic, 65% declared they only hire office-based employees, this number has now dwindled to only 15%, where the rest is composed of various strategies, either fully remote, so anywhere in Poland or anywhere worldwide. That is a fairly small number due to legal and tax constraints, or within a reasonable commuting distance to the office. But it went from 65% declaring that prior to the pandemic they only hired people, office-based people essentially, to only 15 saying that's their key hiring strategy right now.
That is very interesting. So to stub it as our final point, I would like to summarize. We talked about the new environment, new working environment, that it's not going to be back to normal. There is no normal anymore. There is a new normal, new working environment. And what we said, we need something to bring us together, to keep us together. Is it a common goal or a camp when we are in, when we integrate with each other? And I wanted to ask you, so what will be the main points of this new working environment? And I would love you to have also a comment on that. Maybe you will miss something. So please share with us your thoughts also. What would be the new working environment on?
This is the question to me. In the office. Do you know what hubs and clubs is? Because this is the idea that is spreading and is becoming more and more intensely discussed on the office market. So this is the idea of having one central office, not that big, just for collaboration purposes, meetings with clients, and then a number of satellite smaller offices. So to make sure that every employee has more or less the same distance to the office, doesn't matter where they live. And this is something where we're going when we talk about bigger agglomerations, like TRICITY, like Warsaw, like Kraków, Wrocław. I have several discussions concerning this, and when I first heard about this isn't a new idea, because as usual, Western Europe, US has already invented this, but this is coming to us right now. And among the RFPs, so requests for proposals that we receive from our potential clients, there is a new question that appeared. So office, and this is one thing, the main office, but will you be able to offer us an alternative office within 15-minute ride from the main office? And this was once, twice. This is happening more and more often. So maybe this is a new trend. And the office, we have to switch from thinking about the office as a workplace where we come, we do our job, and we go home. Now it's more a meeting place. It's a collaboration area, creative area, where we meet from time to time, and we discover something, invent something.
Yeah, well, I agree. The office space will be about meaningful interactions and creating environment and supporting that. But it should be seen as a network of spaces, as a digital layer with the tools that enable a virtual collaboration. And when we do bring our people together, we need to do it in a very, I think it will be a much bigger effort than before. As in creating, making sure that the community is there, making sure that we manage occupancy, because why would I commute to the office if my team's not going to be there on any given day? Or why would I commute to the office if 3/4 of my day are spent on virtual meetings on Teams? Well, I can do it at home much better. Thank you very much. So it will be a change in both the way we manage office occupancy, the way we manage our teams, the way we coordinate across teams, and also in our individual habits as well. Because I do think there is an inherent benefit in actually being physically present together every now and then. And I often hear that when we are in the office, gosh, it was such a ghastly commute. It was really dreadful, but I'm so happy I'm here now. Yeah, guess what? It actually works. So again, it will be around making sure we create the right environment for people to stimulate this social glue, this social cohesiveness that a team needs to be able to work effectively. Because everything that is individual is much better done remotely. When we ask in our surveys, when we work with organizations developing hybrid working models, and we ask for preferred locations for different tasks, invariably tasks that require focus are the very strong preference would be at home, because most people can manage distractions at home better. Historically, our offices were not necessarily particularly stellar at providing concentration and focus space. So it will also be about creating the right mix of settings and the right diversity so that I can find a space that is actually suited to the task at hand. If it's interaction, if I need to be loud, and if I need to have fun with my team or my co-workers, wider co-workers, then there needs to be a space for that. But there also needs to be a space for respite, for focused work, for other activities. And I think, again, historically, workspaces were largely constructed, well, offices and meeting rooms, and that's about it. So it will be a smaller footprint and a much more diverse one, and a much better managed one, as in creating this community. We actually should be looking a little bit towards hospitality industry as well. There's some lessons to be learned there.
Excellent. Adam.
So Office is, will be an extension to our network capabilities, our online tools that we are using on an everyday basis. And, but there also needs to be a place for all the functions that you mentioned, actually. It's a quiet zone for those who want to focus and don't have the, that 13% that does not have the conditions at home. Or the collaboration zones. It's not about meeting rooms. I mean, meetings, as we all know, are happening right now on Teams or any other networking tools. And it's, it will change and it will evolve into something that we might not even know today. It's, there are functions that will be needed in 10, 15 years that we might not imagine today. I mean, the office space is not that all discovery, and it's right now going to the history. The office space as an open space.
Ooh, it's so exciting. So much work to be done with our managers, with our sense of collaboration, how we bring it, with also rebuilding, reshaping our offices to a smaller and more cozy areas. So much excitement, so much work to be done. Is there anything we forgot about and you would like to comment, maybe? We have a microphone ready for you guys. Yes.
Hello, everybody. I am from Riga, Latvia, and representing Alnec GBS. We are around 250 in Riga and around 100 in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. And we are supporting chemical industry, Alnec's company. And our head HR is focusing on industrial experience. And when we speak about returning back to global HR, we're getting pushed back because industry has another standards. So, and concern from HR is to be equal, to be honest. If industry is coming back, you have to come back. So the point is we need to manage expectations from the stakeholders from different industries, which have a very different conditions. I know banking is a challenging. Banking is not ready to return to accept work from home. Industrial manufacturing are not ready. And how to build this experience for HRs in these different companies, they start to accept could be different standards. It's open question for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions, comments around that?
Maybe just a little addition from my side. I think we try to find an answer or solution, but from my perspective, we will not find one. So we should use this kind of discussions, very important discussions, as inspiration. But actually the challenge is on managers and leaders to find solution, because every company is different, every team is different. So for me, this is really the biggest challenge, and we need to use this kind of discussions, again, as inspiration to really create a tailored solution, yes? And I think for me, it's also a little bit like Dorota mentioned, it's about creating happy, healthy, and productive teams, and this is only just one of many elements, yeah? So we need to think broader, how to create such teams, because this is the challenge really for me, yeah? And office space, coming back, not, it's just really one of the elements.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. It's on. It's
yes,
on.
So I didn't introduce myself. I'm Aleksandra Sieklucka and from State Street. But so we are in the banking industry, and this comment that banking is not ready made me think about how we think about our limitations. Maybe that's one of the lessons learned that we need to take as leaders, that of course there is this very important aspect of data secrecy, client data, and generally our safety of our data. But we should think how to break through those limitations rather than take those limitations as given and that limit us in our choice of solutions. And also be careful about concluding where the root causes of the difficulties are. Because I'm actually convinced that in terms of the data secrecy, the safety of the data, or confidential data in the office is not necessarily higher than at home. And I will give very pointed example. In the office, the employee can print, and if they have access to the client database, they can stay, past 6 p.m., print the entire database, go to the printer, take the paper, and goodbye. So we have had a quite big discussion on what is the better environment. But I don't want to go into that detail. It's only about how we think about our limitations, and we should be careful about the root causes and try to find the solutions to those limitations to overcome them, and imposing on ourselves limitations into finding the solutions.
Excellent, thank you. And there's one more question, yes, or comment?
Hi, everyone. My name is Rafał Gajda. I'm from PwC, and I'm representing the shared service here in Poland. So I think there are good discussions, and I think we as leaders will find some solutions, and there is no right number of how many people in the office or not. I think we didn't answer one question today, which is the most important for me. 100% work from home. Yeah, is that something we should allow or not? We were saying, like, okay, we should find the right model. I personally think I shouldn't allow this, and I think long term it's the right way to do, so that people come into the office every now and then. But it's a must. That's just my opinion, and I'm just worried about looking at short-term goals versus long-term goals, because I think we are in the talent war at the moment, and I'm worried about that we start allowing this, and this is wrong from my perspective. I mean, not everyone needs to share my view, but that's what I think. And I would really like to ask you as panelists as well, like, what do you think about this 100% work from home? Is it something you would say from your perspective, that's fine, and I adjust to it, or not?
Maybe a very short comment, because we are running out of time.
If you endeavor to be 100% remote, with 100% remote workforce, you need to build your company as a digital enterprise only. And majority of our companies are not digital enterprises. We may be very advanced in enabling remote work, but we're not there. So I probably tend to agree with you to a degree that this on-site presence would be beneficial from time to time. But there's also the notion of competitive environment. I mean, I'm sure you've all heard the case of Apple. Apple mandated their employees to be back in the office for, I believe it was 2 or 3 days a week. There was a huge uproar, and all the other tech companies, guess what they did? We're hiring. Hello. So it's a tough one, really, because it's what is good for us and our people, but also what are my potential competitors doing, because ultimately the one that wins the talent, and the talent pool is becoming smaller and smaller because more and more companies are competing for the same set of skills, which are hard to come by. So, yeah.
With the time running out, I'd like to thank you guys for a wonderful discussion. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Resilience, maturity, talents, growth, innovation. But change made us stronger. This all made us sustainable. ABSL Summit. Beyond Tomorrow. Building a Sustainable Future.